NERDSoul.
Lay ill kid at OneYoungsta holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell. Let's go because we got X-Men 90 Shem. All right, that's what we do. We out here looking at them X-Men just doing their thing. And I'm not by myself. I'm joined by Solar Gray. Say what's up.
Hey everybody, this is Solar Gray, the cinematic sorcerer, coming at you from the Wizard's Tower. And with the realization that I'm getting soft in my old age.
Why do you say that?
Because I was crying throughout this whole episode. I'm just like, pretty much like there was 3 minutes of this whole episode that I was not blubbering.
You know what? I did not cry, but I will say this. There was a moment between because we got the funeral scene that was extremely touching from Nightcrawler's words. The way he spoke about Gambit, you know that there is a connection there, that this X-Men team, this X-Men family, this X-Men village truly cares for one another. And between that scene and the scene where Rogue is on her own, Nightcrawler shows up, holds her, and then she turns and the rest of the team is there. I literally yelled out, "How is this show so good?" Like I'm in the house by myself and I said, "How is this show so good?" And then I followed that with, "Aw." It felt good because it's like, girl, you ain't got to go off on your own. We your family. We got your back. I was touched. This man, look,
yeah,
y'all touched the brother right here. All right, made me feel good.
Like I said, I got no shame. I was just my eyes still have not dried. Have not. They're all wet, man. I got a towel over my face right now. I'm going, man. I'm not. I am crying, and you're crying too. Just admit it. Just admit it.
And
seriously.
Jubilee's response. Like, because some of us may have been in a funeral situation like this, where, everyone, unfortunately, everyone does not pass an old age where they've been able to live and love and, have family and grandkids and people kind of know, hey, grandpa's 99, we get it kind of thing. Some people pass very young. And Jubilee is like, how can she not be here? And Wolverine holding her and being like, look, grief is just, it's a long road and it's very different for everybody,
It's a solo battle. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, because there's times when you need others, but there's also times when you kind of got to be by yourself. And, ooh, man. Rogue did not disappoint. I'll say that. Rogue did not disappoint. Like, I'll say it for this reason. If I had the powers that Rogue does, essentially Captain Marvel's powers, and I know that there is someone who engineered a situation that became an attack that killed my wife, my brother, my best friend, my sister, something like that, you best believe there ain't nowhere you can hide. There ain't nowhere you can hide. And I like that we expanded the universe on this. Also, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get the Avengers and all this stuff because the character model for Captain America's already done. Also, there was somebody trying to argue me down, saying that seeing Captain America's shield was a flashback, was gonna be a flashback, and I was like, no, there's no way something like Genosha happens and Captain America just sits back in his recliner.
Nope.
So I was right, you were wrong. But back to
I used to think when Captain America threw his mighty shield, but when an angry Southern woman throws that mighty shield, I'm like, first thought that came to my head between the tears was, all right, is he gonna walk to get that back, or is he gonna get a helicopter?
He'll probably get a helicopter. But the Rogue that we see, she is on a warpath, and you know what? I don't think we've seen her on a warpath in this show before. Maybe we have
seen her on a little bit of a tear when she tried to touch Juggernaut with her hands, and she
Oh yeah,
got all
yeah.
his issues for a hot minute.
Hmm.
But that wasn't really her on a warpath. That was the effects of what's in Juggernaut's head.
Yeah.
This was
Maybe when they
pure
went
her.
back to see Gambit when they when Bella kidnapped him or whatever. Oh, and Bella showing up at his funeral. That was man, this show does so many good things.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
seeing General Ross, seeing her be like, "Look, I know y'all know where he is, so cut the crap and just tell me the truth." Like,
So you know what? I got to give it up to the writers on this one in so many ways. But can we talk about General Ross?
hey
Because,
man,
Rogue is busting through everything and she is pounding tanks and people in the same way they should be pounding that subscribe button.
mhm.
And Ross is just sitting up there chilling with his cup of coffee. I'm like, you were too cool. You were just too cool.
He's like, we're inside of a place that's built to hold the Hulk. And Rogue was like, you know, it's easier to break in than to break out, right?
Yeah, what was my daddy always said breaking into prison was easy. Breaking out's the hard part. You know,
Man,
I mean, that was almost her like taking down soldiers going, "Oh no, I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me."
oh man, and her attitude, even her attitude towards Ross, her attitude towards Cap, when they were holding the shield, and he was like, "Look, I can't." And the whole thing of, man, I can't do this, because even Senator Kelly had the same stance. Like, look, I gotta be political. You know, there's things going on, this, that, and the third. And Cyclops is like, I ain't trying to hear that.
So,
Like, you know, they said thousands in the show, in the comic book that is kind of sort of
well, in the
inspired
comic
from.
book, it
It was
was
millions. It
millions.
was
Yeah,
over 16 million mutants.
yeah. Oh,
So
so you looked it up since we talked last week.
yeah,
That
because
was
it's
some
been
crazy stuff.
since I didn't read that arc, because I still don't really like the art in that
Yeah,
new X-Men line, but
yeah.
um
But
but
yeah, so we're
I
talking
did like the jackets.
3,000 times 9/11 was
Yeah.
what the comic was. And yeah, I mean that was kind of the thing. But you know what? I got to give it up to the writers on this, cuz emotionally speaking, they put us in the shoes of everybody. So, you got the senator sitting up going, "So, I kind of can't be seen helping you guys because it's an election year." And Scott's like, "I don't want to hear that." He's like, "Bro, if I lose to somebody that will actively come after you." And I'm like, he's got a point on that one. And Captain America saying, if I show up in this uniform, which is an American flag, if I show up in Mexico and start wrecking face, that sends a message.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you support mutants. Know that America does not care about sovereign borders.
But at the same time, I'm surprised she did not shoot like kind of like fight back or shoot back across the bow with this one. So the Avengers only ever work in the side of the borders of the US.
He wasn't talking about the Avengers. He was talking about him. Just
When the
him.
Avengers go, he's there. Well, maybe not every single time, but to pretend that the Avengers have never gone international and he has never been there, it's like, Cap, come on, bruh.
Oh, I
Like,
get
come
that.
on.
But remember, they were talking about going into Mexico. And this show was set in 1997. Now, at that time, California had just passed, I believe it was Prop 18. Okay, but in 1997, the US was still wacky with Mexico about immigration and whether or not they'll take refugees and whether or not migrant workers could get green cards. It was weird at that time. And it's one thing for the Avengers to go into like Eastern Europe. It's another thing for the American flag to go into Mexico. I mean, we're talking the neighboring country.
But I mean,
So-
I do get how important it is to see the people that the people that are there, they care at least to a certain degree, but also have to play the game because this isn't done in a bubble. But we
Right.
also understand from the other side that it's like, look, what has happened to us, we don't care about there is no bubble no more. Like the conversation between Hank and Trill, or is it
Oh,
Trilla?
bro.
Trilla?
Yeah, bro. Oh my god. Again, yeah. How can this show be so good?
Look,
Because
because I
we
mean,
finally
think
get
about it.
Beast.
This is no different than saying, "Hey, we don't want you here," and I'm going to make the connection in a second because we're in
Mhm.
America. We don't want you here. Stay away from us. Get away from us. You're dirty. You're horrible. Whatever. We don't like you. You're not even human. And then you say, "All right, man. I guess they don't want us. Let's just go over here and build our own town and mind our business like we were told." And then you go build your town like you were told, and you leave everybody alone. You don't bother them. And then they say, "Hey, why don't we just bomb this town?" And when I say we,
Yeah.
I mean the American government, because the average everyday white citizen does not have planes to drop bombs from.
Right.
So they had help. So,
Well,
or when they want to flood a town to create a lake, or they're like, you know what, this highway would be great to go through this neighborhood.
you know, I've never been to Central Park, but yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. And
so those
with
types
Hank,
of things where it's like, yeah, this stuff has been government sanctioned in some type of way for the longest time. And that's where Cyclops is like, no, we actually need you to stand up against this because the government has been behind so much against us for so long.
yeah,
Senator
and at least
Senator Kelly
Cyclops
is like,
going,
well, you know, I got to do what I got to do.
yeah, and Cyclops going, look, you can at least stand up and say it wasn't me. All right, can you do that?
Yeah.
You know, and again, this show is doing a real good job at showing how important Professor Xavier is and how it kind of falls apart without him.
But I would say this is tough. And I'm glad you brought up Professor X because we do get to see him a little bit here. But Professor X in this context, since it's gone so wild, I think that people would not be feeling Professor X right now. They would not. Like I don't think Cyclops would be feeling it. I don't think Wolverine. I don't even think Beast would be feeling it right now. Because I mean, we saw the conversation with the reporter that he was with.
Yeah, and can I say, it was great to see a different quote from Martin Luther King in the regular media.
Yeah, because I love how he brought out the quote, and then she fires back with, "Oh, but you know, breaking glass and this is like, don't nobody care about broken glass? People are dead. Don't nobody." And I'll say this straight up: don't nobody care about your CVS. People is dead. People are dead and being killed on TV like they're animals. And if you believe they're animals, that's fine. That gives us even more reason to burn this mess down. Now, once again, it would have been cool if y'all didn't do this. But to do something of this magnitude and then pretend like some broken glass at a store is a big deal, bruh, you best get up out my face. And that's the issue. That's the issue that they're coming up with. And like
that's what Beast did.
Beast was like, "Are you
"Excuse me?"
kidding me?"
Like, yeah, I'm just gonna go now. This is not a conversation worth having.
Yeah, he's like, "Look, you go," and her just standing there left stuck. And what? Also, look, y'all are doing. This show does so much in like what?
22 minutes. In 22 minutes, they're just like, oh, by the way,
it's like, how do you get so much
story
done?
layers.
This is a tight show. You
Bruh.
know what? Look, next season, can we get an hour? I mean, I know most of the season are probably already done.
No.
I would love. I mean,
I gotta disagree.
Invincible is an hour, and they still get a lot done, and it's a tight show.
Yeah, but it's not this tight. Real talk. If they extend the running time on this show to 40 minutes or an hour, it won't be as tight because they'll have to fill more time.
But
And
think they can still fill the time with meaningful, important things. Like it
bro,
seems like
I'm looking
these
at this
writers are on the
writing.
pulse. They're not trying to, like
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like sleep through this job.
I am not disagreeing with that. In fact, um see, we see stuff differently on this one. I would have hated to be a writer on this show because emotionally I am spent after watching it. If I
Yeah,
had to write it, oh my god, I would be a wreck. I would literally be a wreck after writing every page. From Nightcrawler's eulogy, that would have taken me down
yeah,
for
that's a
three
tough
days.
one.
You know, um, Nightcrawler's conversation with Rogue at the end, which I know we'll get to, that would have taken me down for a week. The conversation between Scott and Jean about their history, that would have
Mhm.
taken me down for a couple of hours. Watching Scott cry when he thought that it might have been Madeline and it turned out to be Emma. I'm like,
That was tough.
bruh.
That was
And
tough
then,
because it's
yeah,
not that he's mad that we saved someone. It's because the person that I was hoping it was
wasn't.
isn't there, or
Yeah,
at least not right now.
like you saw him choke on false hope in that moment. And then having Gene there with, you know what, boo, I understand. I'm like, all right, yeah, if I had to write this, if I had to dig down in those places that I would talk about at parties, but people are too drunk and stoned to actually engage with me on that level, I'm sorry, man. I would I if I had to write this for a living for a show that comes out weekly, I'd be wrecked at 22 minutes. And then doing that for twice as long? Because the only way
Yeah.
that this show would work if it was double the length is if you put twice as much in, like, I was thinking about what I was gonna say about this show. Before we hooked up today.
Mhm.
And this episode reminds me of Magnolia, the movie Magnolia. It came out in
Okay.
99. Okay. And one, that's a weird movie. But it was a textbook example of W.S. Anderson's directorial style because this dude focuses on pain. Okay. That is what I don't care if it's Boogie Nights, Magnolia, the other stuff he did. Pain is his jam. Emotional pain is just his jam. And the movie Magnolia was 2.5 hours of, hey, you crying yet? How about now? All right, does this make
Oh
you cry?
boy.
Oh, okay, that doesn't make you cry. I get. How about this? How about this? Hey, are you lonely? Are you feeling like your dad abandoned you? How about you hate your dad, but he's dying, and it turns out you love him more than you want to? Okay, how about this? All right, how about, come on, you got to be crying over something. Come on, give me
Man.
something, and that's what this episode reminded me of. It was like, hey, we're 3 minutes in. You missed it yet? No, it's okay. Have an
It's
action
okay.
scene.
It's coming.
You crying yet?
Now I do
How
want
about now?
I did want your perspective on the Professor X part. The part of Professor X, one, that Bastion knows that he's alive and most likely coming back. Or well, no, he didn't see the clip of him saying he was coming back, but he knows he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you feel Professor X would respond in a situation like this?
Number one, let's be real. This is Charles Xavier we're talking about, okay? The master of spin. The absolute I don't know what's beyond doctor, okay, but he is a spin surgeon. He is a spin administrative counsel. All right, he is beyond a spin doctor. The senator wouldn't have said no to Charles Xavier because Charles is so good at his powers and at persuasion. He knows more about the human mind than anyone. So the conversation that Cyclops had with him, would have been different under Charles Xavier, because
Okay.
Charles would have convinced the senator either with words or with telepathy. With the Trask thing, Charles would have handled that completely differently, to Wolverine's dismay.
Yeah.
I gotta give that to him.
Yeah, because when Rogue dropped Trask,
Wolverine was like, "Yep."
yeah, Wolverine was like, serves him right. Morph was like, is this who we are now?
And Nightcrawler was like, "Sis, what did you do?" And Wolverine was like, "What all of us wanted to do."
Yeah, he was like, what all of us wanted to do? Like, let's,
You know,
and that kind of goes with the conversation that you and I were having before about like, not that we should just be like, you know, a roving gang of murderers, but there's some people where it's like, hey man, look, we've let you live like twice before, and we paid for it. We're not going to pay for it no more. You know, it's like we let you live, and that shame on us, but we ain't letting you live again.
again, not their call.
But when it is someone else's call, look what happened to us.
I get that.
Thousands
So,
dead.
Yeah, I get that. But again, that being the case, and this is Professor Xavier's thing, if the system is the problem, then you got to take out the system, not the people involved in the system.
And I understand, but
Now,
one, how long can that take? And are we willing to deal with the people that did survive? Seeing us say, hey guys, we got the guy, did all this. Now we're going to hand them over to the people that run the system that set this up to happen to us in the first place.
oh,
We hope he gets a fair trial,
again, that's the thing. It's messy.
because
As
those
Charles
people are
Xavier
not going to be
said.
pleased with the X-Men. The
I'm
next
with
time the
that.
X-Men try to come around, they're probably going to be like, no, we're good. But
I
man,
understand
your
that.
leg is bleeding and we got Dr. Hank McCoy. Just let it bleed. I'm fine. We cool.
Yeah.
We cool on y'all.
You
I'll
know-
go to the Brotherhood of Mutants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So-
I definitely get what you're saying, and that's what makes all this messy. You know, it's complicated, it's messy. But one thing that we see is that violent revolution tends to lead to violent administration, which leads to the oppressed group becoming the oppressor of a different group. Not necessarily their oppressors, but something else, because any new government, any new way of thinking is put together with the foundation in thought of what was wrong before. You know,
Okay.
it's like, you know, if we're going to talk about these big issues, one of the big things that's going on with the culture war circa 2024 is that the people who are lower down the hierarchy talk about wanting equity across the board, but the people in the high parts of the hierarchy believe that if someone else is at their level or higher, they will treat their power the same way they always have been. So essentially, there's really that big question, or that big task of defining justice, defining the new paradigm before getting the power to enact it. You know,
Okay. And I get you. I think sometimes the people at the top of that paradigm usually are using projection in
Oh,
many
absolutely.
cases, because I think it wasn't you and I was on a live stream one time, and I was like, honestly, this whole thing of, there was a young lady during the protests in 2020, and she
Mhm.
said, what y'all are scared is that we're going to do the same thing y'all did to us.
yes,
And I was like, in all honesty, after all this, most of us just want y'all to leave us alone.
well,
Like, just literally, like, get out my face, leave me alone, don't bother
Okay.
me, don't follow me around the store. Like this is y'all's culture.
yeah,
Y'all
okay.
trying to put on us. We're not interested in like enslaving y'all or something. Like we
No,
just leave us alone.
I'm definitely with that, but I will
like
counter
by
with
and
this.
large, not saying that
Yeah.
every single one, there's
No,
probably you can take
I
a percentage of anyone, but
I definitely understand that, but I'm going to counter with this:
all right,
the Thomas Sowell crowd. Okay.
yeah.
The
But I mean,
Clarence
how large
Thomases,
is that?
it's not a matter of how large, it's a matter of, are those the ones that are going to rise to the top of power?
Okay,
You know,
true.
one of
True.
one of the reasons I don't mess with the black churches in most of the cities I go to. And hold up, let me cook. All right.
No, you
Is
look.
you
Don't get
got
me started on the black church. I'm
Yeah,
not. No,
you
you
got
good.
maybe 1 out of 7 churches that are about bake sales, backpack giveaways, and helping people pay their rent. Everybody else, those other 6,
One of 7.
yeah, I said 1 of 7. That's
One
actually
of
about
27.
okay, yeah, one
Maybe
of 27.
37.
So that other 26 is about taking your money, pushing homophobia, and telling people what they can't do with their lives. And where did they learn that? They learned that from the dominant culture that brought us here in the first place. So they get their power and they're trying to build a world, but the world that they're building is just, it's the Killmonger problem. We're going to create a new society and this time we'll be on top. And that was a caricature of the thing on a global scale, but we see that, we see that in households. The households of daddy's in charge because daddy's in charge, not because daddy is fighting a war with a world that would not see him in it, working for 20% less than his counterpart, or having to put up with being called all sorts of N-words and fun little epithets, but because daddy says so,
Gotcha.
So I mean, remember, my family was raised by people, specifically by people that came up in the time that the color purple is set in. So that plantation mentality of beat your kids for asking questions, cause I said so. If you don't have the words to say it, just don't say nothing. Forget trying to learn the words. And then when you get out of it, I bring up the Thomas Sowell and the black bourgeois for the forget you, I got mine mentality. Instead of pulling up the generations behind us, it's about I got mine, go get yours.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I'm taking everything, and if you get yours, you got to take it from me. You feel what I'm saying? So
Not only do I feel it, but I believe we both experience it probably too much.
yeah. So on that whole thing, on that whole front, it's a complicated and messy thing. Because if the X-Men go about killing the people that are involved in that, at what point do they cross the line and become the Bolivar Trasks? At what point do they become the very forces that they don't like in order to preserve what they built? Is the question that the Krakoa storyline was asking. Is also the reason that Submariner just kind of looked at them and said, yeah, nah, yeah, I don't know what you're doing. Because one thing about him and Magneto and Doctor Doom and T'Challa is this stuff is messy, and sometimes you have to be the bad guy to preserve the whole. Just make sure that the whole that you're preserving, you're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah,
So again, this is why all this stuff is messy, and I love these writers for putting that front and center.
Definitely. Speaking of the messy part, where do you see this whole thing with Sinister and Bastion going? Because it does seem like there's some cracks in the relationship. It doesn't seem
okay.
like
Sinister is not ready
Sinister
for
is
Bastion.
super on board.
Sinister's not ready for Bastion. Number one, we talked last week about how you do one or two storylines in the X-Men and then you bail until there's another trade, essentially.
Yeah.
So do you know what Bastion is?
Yeah, I know what Bastion is.
Okay. So for the listeners out there, essentially Bastion is a sentient hybrid between Master Mold and Nimrod, the ultimate Sentinel.
Yeah, he's basically, I guess you could equate him. Now, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong either on power level, but similar to like Omega Sentinel in the current Krakoan era storyline. Like, dude's like human-ish enough to pass, but he's all robot.
He's one or two beyond that. His threat level, imagine the X-Men level threat of Ultron. He's Ultron for the X-Men.
Yeah.
Okay. But instead of making a whole bunch of clones for him, the dude is tactical.
Yeah,
he's tactical and he's immortal. So he's got he will set up dominoes for 10, 12, 13 years just to make sure all of his bases are covered.
Yeah, because he definitely, literally gave up the plan just to be like, oh yeah, okay, so we got some data, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted to see what we got. And he gave up that whole place, I guess, knowing that he was going to destroy it anyway. But, Hank comes in, he's like, yo, the level of cybernetics in here are extremely beyond, extremely impressive and far beyond what we're looking at. And then you have that conversation with Sinister, like, yo, you should have did this, you should have did that. What's taking so long? Because he said, you remember what you promised me. Now, who knows with the weird bioengineer tinkering with people's bodies and cloning and stuff, who knows what he promised him. But he needed Sinister for something. And I'm assuming he needed some kind of, maybe it was the cloning ability to make Trask and Gyrick semi-robots too or something. I don't know. But Sinister is super creepy and super sneaky.
Yeah.
So
and then we've got Bastion being a little more creepy and a lot more cool-headed.
Yeah.
He's like, don't worry, I got you.
We still don't even know what OZT means. I'm pretty sure maybe it's from a comic book that I just haven't read or something like that.
It's Operation Zero Tolerance.
This is the Zero Tolerance storyline. Okay. I remember that. I wonder if they're going to bring in like Maggot. Another weird mutant. But I
don't know, but it was kind of cool to see Strong Guy. And I'm not a big fan of most Liefeld creations, but Strong Guy had a special place in my heart.
He just has a cool swoop.
Well, it's really that whole, so what's your mutant power? I'm strong. What's your name? I'm Strong Guy. Were you designed by a child? Sure.
Yep.
But Strong Guy, that's what I do. That's what I am. It's
But yeah, that now, okay. Now if we're doing zero time, oh man, it's about to get bad.
Yeah. It's about to get real bad.
Because I remember I never finished the Zero Tolerance storyline, but I remember reading, like collecting some of it. And yeah, it's gonna get bad.
This episode did a couple of really subtle things though.
Okay.
It took the two most obviously powerful mutants off the table to show the rest of the top tier. And I like that a lot. Because most fans that had friends and didn't spend all their time reading comic books as children understand that the X-Men are stupid levels of powerful.
Yeah.
Okay. Like all this Marvel versus DC stuff over the years, the X-Men have always been Justice League level as far as the powers and stuff go.
Especially if you wanted to cherry pick like the best.
I'm talking straight up the Magnificent Seven.
Oh,
Okay, we're
oh,
talking.
okay. I
Okay,
thought you wanted to like expand it out to like a couple of other people because I,
I'm literally talking the Magnificent Seven,
okay.
i.e., all of the name DC, all of the DC comic characters that have their own books, plus the Martian Manhunter, plus one other. Sometimes it's Plastic Man, sometimes it's Cyborg. You know, and the X-Men have always been at that level.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Claremont run or the Claremont and Ween lineup, everybody knows Professor Xavier, most powerful telepath in the world. You know, and then you got Storm. She makes lightning in space.
She's
Now,
like Omega. They need another level after Omega because the stuff that she has done in the Krakoan era, bruh, like
um,
look, the stuff that she's done, the stuff that Magneto has done. I mean,
yeah, and
the man was fighting without a heart in his chest.
yeah, exactly. He
I'm
used
telling you,
part of
like
his power to
comics
move
be
his blood
crazy,
around his body because his heart had been torn out, and he was still wrecking shop.
bruh.
You
I'm
know,
telling you, they need
yeah,
to, we need another designation for
yeah.
those
The
two at least.
well, that's the whole thing, though. The I guess you can say starters. What do you call the first people that go to the game or that go the first people that start on the team?
Oh yeah, like starters, first string.
Yeah, the first string X-Men are all Omega level. All of them are that powerful. From Charles and Magneto, but again, we see how powerful they are. They're pulled off the board.
Mhm.
Storm pulled off
Pulled
the
off the
board.
board. Yep.
But now we see what Jean can do. And that's
Yeah.
horrifying.
I was like, hold up, what? You were hiding this from us all this time?
No, most of the time she was using her telepathy, like, no, Scott, I will reach out to his heart. Not I will throw a building across across a city with my mind. You
Man,
know?
that scene was incredible for evacuation level and also fighting the I guess the new I forgot what he called him, but whatever the new
Oh,
cyber sentinel.
Yeah,
Prime
Prime
Sentinel, yeah.
Trask. Yeah. Yeah,
So
and we also got to see um we got to see Rogue. We got to see Rogue cut loose using some of her video game moves.
mhm.
You know, and that whole scene where it was like, Jean Grey's telepathy is not gonna get it. She's like, this ain't that.
Yeah, she was like, you don't know it. And then when we saw Nimrod's face, I was like, cool. I was like, Bastion will be here somewhere. So, but the fact that the Prime Sentinel cold cocked her, and
She got warped.
do you know how hard you have to hit Rogue to just lay her out, have her slain in the spirit?
Yeah, again,
Like,
Captain Marvel. And what I gotta say on that one is like when she was like, he took a good man, my man. I'm like, oh, there's the South coming out.
yeah,
She is such a Southern girl. Because it was no, he killed my man, not just a mutant, not just all those people. All those people are bad enough, but he killed my significant other. And I'm like, ooh, yeah.
because I'm gonna be for real. After that, I wouldn't even trip on it. I saw a Morph trip, and I'll talk about Morph in a second. But like, I saw, if it was me, I wouldn't trip on it. Now, I would send out a thought to Jean Grey, like, look, I'm not even tripping on this, but we do have to make sure that this is a scalpel. Like this is like we got to make sure that we don't turn into like some roving gang of murderers, but make sure that this is at the most. Like, hey, okay, you've been in jail 5 times. Now you've killed thousands of people. All right, look, you had your chance.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
If Trask hadn't come back as Prime Trask, that probably would have been the conversation. Because remember, X Factor and X Force are a thing.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Because X Factor is led by Scott, X Force is led by Wolverine. One is the
There's some
collateral
dope
damage
books too.
Huh?
There are some dope X-Force books out there too.
Yeah, even before they were led by Deadpool. But that's the Black Ops team. Led by the dude that's been killing people surgically for governments for about 70 years. So
yeah,
that's why he was like, haven't heard about that in my spy days. She dropped him off the building. All of us wanted to do it. Like Wolverine's like, look, man, I've been here.
Like, look,
and she lost her man. Yeah. I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm not gonna say a single word.
This is a red directive. No. But I'll
y'all gonna have to watch our other discussions to understand that reference.
Yeah,
right?
shouts to Star Trek Discovery. But I want to shout out Morph because Morph has been pretty much our voice on this episode and many others. Because when Trash sends the message, Morph's like, all right, so let's keep score here. This guy's bad.
Yeah,
made this happen, and we're gonna follow him.
And it's all his fault. Yeah, I don't trust him.
All his fault. And then he's like, so we're all cool that this is a trap, right? It's similar to in Blade 2 when
when Ryan
team
Reynolds
of vampires come and they're like, hey, we need your help, and Whistler's like, so what do you think? And like Blade's like, sounds like a plan. And he said, what do you really think? He said, they're gonna kill us the first chance they get. And he doesn't say kill, but it's a family show. But pretty much they're gonna screw us the first chance they get.
Like,
and he's like, all right,
trap,
cool.
Right?
Just so we both know that this is a trap, no problem.
Yeah. And but I do want to talk about the coming out conversation.
Okay.
Because that was the most realistic type of scene that I've seen like that. With him, being all nervous to come out to his mom and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And they took me for a loop. They threw me for a loop. Because, the way that it was edited, Jubilee is like, look, I'm going to be right there. This could go, she could react really badly and all that stuff. And then it was like, or she could do that. And they animated the mom like she was a bit drunk. Pouring another glass of wine and then shooting it like tequila or something like that.
And we also get our third person in this episode, quote, playing the game.
Yes.
We had Senator Kelly, we had Cap, and now we have Sunspot's mom. Kind of like, look, we always knew, and I'm glad you finally told us.
Yeah,
but
and see that
we got people that we have to answer to on the board, and we got to keep this on the low.
And that's the part I wanted to talk about, because moms of color don't get enough shine in media. I want to juxtapose this, and you might get a little heat, but put the heat over here at Back in the Deck at gmail.com. When we juxtapose that to X2, you got the suburban Caucasian mom going, is it possible that you could just not be a mutant? But then you got the Brazilian mom going, baby, 3 of our houses burned down, and you're a terrible liar. You think me and your daddy didn't know? We just was waiting for you to be ready to tell us. Okay? But yeah, we love you one way or another, but we know what you're up to. 1, we were teenagers. And 2, you were a baby. And you were doing mutant stuff when you don't remember doing it. But we was there. And it was like, you know what? That's cool. Seeing, because I don't care who you are, where you come from, your parents know more about you than you do.
And see, that's the mom of color. A black mom probably would have just had a Sunday dinner where y'all came together, and in between the cornbread and the greens or whatever, she would be like, so honey, look, you burned down the house and we know you're a mutant. We need to figure out a way so you can, get your powers together a little bit. And you would be like, huh, what? Be like, yeah, baby.
Let's be honest, bro. That's not how it would come down. I mean, the Sunday dinner in between the cornbread, yeah, but a black mom would have been like, so what's up with them Somali pirates? In North Carolina. Boy, you need to stop. You know, that's really what it would have been like.
Or yeah, or it would have been like, now I love mutants, but I also love our home, so don't burn down anymore. All right, honey.
You know,
that would have been it.
But yeah, but mama would have called him out on the lies. The Somali pirates, huh? Mm-hmm.
Somali pirates. And did he say I was your captain now? Did he say that?
Exactly. You know, but just that whole I love you one way or another, and I always knew. I was just waiting for you to come to me. That's all. That's it. And yeah, there's spaghetti. You know, but then she was like, all right, so now you know I love you because you're my son. Now we got to get back to business because we ain't losing everything we work for.
Yeah, it's like,
so if they find out that you're a mutant and you're running with the X-Men, we gonna lose the family fortune.
And it's basically in this particular case, it seems like, at least from our perspective, maybe we haven't seen enough news reports, maybe that might have got cut out or something like that for time, but this seems like the best time, and this sounds so callous. All right, before I say this, I know it sounds bad, but I'm just saying from the perspective of someone who wants the board to be down with them or whatever. This seems like the opportunity where there would be the most sympathy for mutants. If there was ever any time for mutant sympathy, it would be now.
It's still odd. All right, let's flash back to what they were seriously showing on this. Okay, the allegory. Let's go back to the Black Lives Matter protest. You got half of the government doing all this performative stuff. All right, saying yeah, we down with the cause. But you got the opposition going hard against. And that was where the senator was coming from. It's like, look, y'all got messed up. We want to help, but I can't let these MAGA folks win the election. It's going to get worse. So I got to play this weird because people are scared. And when people are scared, they start denying election results. You feel me?
Yeah, because it's like y'all are out in the streets, and I understand why y'all are out in the streets, because now that this has happened, there's been a whole bunch of those good old boys that are out celebrating. And so now they're out in the streets protesting what has happened, and I get it, but
let's be real. We got riots from good old boys saying no mutants, and we got riots from mutants saying no more. So it's a lose-lose everywhere.
And then I also get Cyclops being like, I get it, but it's time for someone to stand up for the moral center of this nation. But then someone like me would come in and be like this, and then someone like me come in and be like, this nation has no moral center. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, Cyclops is tired.
What do you mean?
You know, Cyclops is like you on this one. It was like, you know what?
That's why I like the new Cyclops. Man, look, the new Cyclops, I'm like, look, we cool.
Now, see, I'm sitting up in the blue boy category. You know, I am a straight even split across Beast and Nightcrawler. You know, because I get it. I totally get it. But that don't mean I ain't gonna call out the whole, yeah, like you were reporting in front of my house. Yeah, you know, and it's like, yeah, there are riots, and they're the language of the unheard. You know, and I ain't up for this conversation right now. I'm a little too messed up, you know. And then you got Nightcrawler, you know, actually being there for the people. You know,
yeah.
I mean, there was that, and that's where I'm at. But with Sunspot's mom, she ain't dealing with politicians. She's dealing with money people, and executive boards on the $100 million to $1 billion level. They don't mess around. They literally go, it's a bad thing what happened to mutants, but let's see here. People ain't buying our stuff. Our stock price is going down. So just
because we're going to be essentially framed as a mutant company.
And if we're framed as a mutant company, our stock might lose 15 points, and we can't have that. So just keep your mouth shut. And that's
And
how
then
they
she
work.
was like, this, and I'm assuming this might be the impetus for the change, but her being like, the people that you associate with, she's probably about to be like, you can't hang with the X-Men no more.
Yeah.
And especially with
Well,
his
that's
new little
exactly what the animation did.
his new puppy
Because,
love boo, he ain't leaving her. No, no, no,
well,
no. So I'm
look,
assuming he's gonna go full Black
well,
Sunspot now.
I
And
will
he'll be
tell
like,
you.
well, now they won't know who I am and I'm leaving.
Well,
Because I ain't leaving my new boo.
hey, I will tell you, the animators, there was somebody in the room. Because, as you know, and your viewers might not rock with me on this one, but I date interracially a lot.
Mhm.
And I have gotten that look. Because that whole, so yeah, we have to be careful about the public perception of your associates. And she gives Jubilee that side eye. I'm like, oh, here it comes.
Yeah, 'cause
I
she
have been on the
she
receiving end
look,
of that side eye.
we can't have you
often.
chilling with the X-Men like that.
Because again, money. you know, and
Even though Cyclops laid his game down quite flat, he was like, look, all the times we done saved y'all, man, if you don't get up out my house, I'm about to save y'all again.
yeah,
Because the Sentinels are going to decide, like they did in the Krakoan era, like Master Mode did a second ago. Well, technically in the timeline of the show, a second ago, I guess maybe like a year or so ago, that humans and mutants are the same. Mutants are humans, so all of y'all need to be controlled. So technically, we're saving y'all butts again.
yeah, So yeah, I mean that coming out, like, again, this show does not have the right to go as hard and adult as it does. But like I said when I first started talking to you about this show knows exactly who it's written for.
Yeah, because they
It's
know
like-
everyone who watched the original show is
In their 30s and 40s
around
now.
40 plus or
Uh-huh.
minus 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
So they're like, you guys are adults now, so we gonna give you your escapism. Y'all gonna get the action scenes and the pew pew and the mashing the superheroes together, but y'all ain't babies no more.
mhm.
So we gonna talk about this, and we ain't gonna keep it black and white, because that ain't never been the X-Men. Like, if you want good guys win, bad guys lose, and as always, England prevails, go read the Avengers. Okay,
Oh,
watch Earth's
boy.
mightiest heroes. But you want
then,
some good storytelling? Come, you want some good storytelling with some adult themes and entertainment that spawns conversation after the episode is over. You want something to talk to your family about in the ways that we used to in the good old days. Then yeah, X-Men 97. That's what we got this here.
Word up. I'll ask you this, since we coming up on time. What are your final thoughts on the action, and where can people find you?
Man, the action on this goes hard. It goes so hard. On this particular one, I think it was really wise of the directors, the writers, and the animators to focus a lot on the X-Men stopping the collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
After something as traumatic as episode 5, the last they knew, much like the DC writers did not get in Man of Steel, that people look at collateral damage and go, hold up, who's saving people? And so they showed, with these action scenes and the fights, the good guys still got to save people. Okay, if they can't save the bad guy, they best save bystanders. And just watching Jean and Cyclops do just that, just those two, stopping the debris from hitting the ground, making sure people could get out. All right, we're with that. And showing that the serious hardcore action scenes essentially took place in places where people were already in the game. Like, Rogue didn't go out and do random destruction. She's like, military targets, y'all signed up for this. Punch, kick. Oh, you're in a tank. Well,
Man,
You
she
know,
smashed that tank together like little kids when they're playing with toys or something.
you know, and I'm just like, yeah. And the action scenes in this one were particularly good with the collateral damage and with the emotional context of the fights.
Yeah.
Because I ain't gonna lie, having the fight set up after the X-Men actually go to Genosha and see what's wrong, and showing how they were mad. They were all mad. Even Morph to a degree, but they were all seriously mad when Trask was like, he came back as the Sentinel, and it was like, what? Oh no, now yeah, I gotta blow off some steam. And Rogue's action scenes were like, yeah. What was it that she said? Y'all didn't blew up all the, oh yeah, the scene where she had what's his name up against the wall, and he was like, I thought your kind were the
General
good
Ross.
guy. Yeah, not General Ross, the other one. Quilled something.
Gyrick.
Yeah, Gyrick. And sure enough, he's like, I thought your kind were the good guy. She's like, you killed all them. Now you got me. I'm like, bruh. Bruh.
I was like, that's my girl. Let's go.
I'm like, all right, yep. You done messed up. You messed up. That's it. But with every swing of the tank, every person that she kicked, the animators added that emotional weight to all of it. You felt her when she was doing that. Not felt the impact of the hits, although Gladiator punching Deathbird, that's where you felt the impact of the hits. Ooh. But you really felt what Rogue was feeling. Like it really made the action scenes were more empathetic in this episode than they ever have been. Most of the time they just look awesome, but this time they felt important. You feel what I'm you feel what I'm saying?
Oh, I get you.
So yeah. But with that, y'all can reach me at twitch.tv/BID_P. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can also check out some of my stuff over on my YouTube channel, the Bit P Blurred thing. I'm really trying to get those 1,000 subscribers. So, it's a click of a button. Don't cost y'all nothing. Come on over. Just hit the button. Hit the button so we can have live chats. And yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, we talk about comic stuff, life, the emotional importance of engaging in the games that you're playing or the stories that you're writing. It's a good time. It's a really good time. So yeah, come on over and hang out.
That's what's up. And for me, the action, especially with like the dive kick, was incredible. The emotion was there. Everything felt earned, even at the end. And shouts out to the animators for making me rewind the moment when Morph switched to Quicksilver.
Bro, we didn't talk about that at all.
Because
yeah, I was sitting up going, wait a minute.
Yeah, it happened so fast. I was like, hold up, Quicksilver's here? Yeah. And then I rewind. I was like, oh snap, because normally this is how well they do it. Normally you would have did a tight shot on Morph, watch him change, and then he would run off. But we get a whole shot of the group, and it's like Morph knew the assignment. He was like, you know what? We got heavy hitters here. We got a telepath here. We got the super smart guy here, but we need super speed in this moment. And he turns to Quicksilver and jets off. Now, unfortunately, there wasn't really
out loud. Yeah, I literally said out loud, when did Quicksilver get it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had to hit the back button where it rewinds like 30 seconds or whatever. I was like, hold up, what? Quicksilver? And I was like, oh. And I was like, okay, I forgot. He can do their powers too. I was like, word. Because I believe at some point in Morph's history, I thought he could just mimic their look. But then they changed it later on. Or maybe it was the
Age of Apocalypse.
Maybe it was the Age of Apocalypse storyline where they gave him the powers too. And shouts out to Morph at Age of Apocalypse looks mad cool. And that's basically kind of the look they give him in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And shouts out to Nightcrawler from that timeline as well.
Dude.
But yeah, that Quicksilver spot, you know, Scott and Jean doing their thing,
dude,
and realizing, whoa, okay, they've been talking about these dominoes and we are in over our heads. And then having their son, sort of their son, come through.
Scott's son.
Yeah, because it is Jean's son to a certain degree, because Madeline is a direct clone of Jean, so it's still sort of her son. It's so comics is convoluted, but anyway, because it's not her. Shoot, it kind of is her biological son to a certain degree. It's complex. It gets weird when you start doing that. But
I just go with what he said.
Yeah,
the whole "get out of my head, you ain't her."
Yeah,
and I don't want to hear it, Dad. I'm like, okay, yep. This is like I was. That would have been the perfect shot if this hadn't been so serious, to cut to Morph going, okay, I'm just gonna be over here real quick.
Yeah, but he got knocked TF out.
Yeah,
mutant neutralized. I was like, oh.
Before we get out of here, can we talk about the catharsis? Because number one, this episode was Rogue's party. I mean, let's be real. This was a Rogue episode.
Mm-hmm.
But her talk with Nightcrawler, that whole brother and sister moment that you don't get a whole lot in the X-Men. You don't really get, you get like, okay, the X-Men's a family, but it's got a very found family moment, but you don't really get the whole, they gave us a little bit of sisterly talk with Storm and Madeline Jean in the second episode, but really that brother and sister moment between Cyclops and Rogue, or between Nightcrawler and Rogue is just, she's messed up, and it's like, going on the rampage because I lost a boy, and he's like, 2 boys, like, come on, sis, you lost both the men that you love at the same time. And when he pointed that out and did the whole, you think you watched them die, but I watch you help them live.
Yeah.
And that broke awesome. Her. That broke her. That broke me. And shouts out to the voice director, because you don't actually get to hear many cartoons do the ugly cry.
Yeah.
Do the mouth open, the mouth open wailing type cry. When most characters have that I'm crying sort of breakdown where they just gotta grab somebody and hold on to them, it just kind of goes straight to them muffled, and you get the kind of, but you don't get the part before. And I thought that was just brilliant. Like the team on this show the team on this show must have a legion of psychologists standing aside going, all right, so how can we actually emotionally impact our audience? And there was like a grief counselor going, show her ugly cry. Don't let her be stoic. Let her be angry and try to be stoic. Let her fail and then let her break down. Like, show her breaking down.
The funny part is, like, I'm looking at this like, I'm imagining the writing room. They're like, oh, this is gonna kill them. Oh, they gonna love this. They gonna go wow. Like, what? Like, look, and then they're like writing and stuff, and like, okay, now when she turns around, the whole team is there. They're like, oh, it's like,
I either see that, or I see
they're gonna cry with that one,
or I see the writing team. I see the table read, and I just see all the actors just having to stop because they keep crying. That's what I see. Because, I can see what you're talking about. I can definitely see what the writer's going, oh, yeah, and then they do that. And then, all right, let's do that. Oh, yeah. And I see the one sarcastic writer going, we're just trying to hurt people, aren't we? Yeah, we're trying to hurt them. We going to hurt them hard. And then they going to tune in next week.
We're going to hurt them because it's good.
But I see the table read of the actors just breaking down time after time after time, and them doing the Hollywood thing of this is so powerful. This is art. This is true art. You know.
I mean, LeSean Thomas probably said it best, at least that I've heard. He might have got it from someone else, but animation is a medium, not a genre.
Thank you.
Right? It's a medium. It's just another way to tell stories, just like the funny pages, just like a novel, a graphic novel, light novel. It's just a TV film.
We're learning.
It's just another way to tell stories.
Yeah, we're learning. With all the manga fans and stuff that have come around in the past 2 generations, we're learning. I think pretty soon we're going to be getting back to romance comics and spy comics and cowboy comics and stuff. And slice of life comics, not just superhero action.
Yeah, it's there's just so much out there. But with that said, I love this show. Marvel, treat them right, pay them well.
Facts.
And when I say pay them well, look at what they're worth at about 15%, so they'll stay.
You know what? I'll say 25.
All right, cool.
25%, just to make sure that 1, they're happy doing their job, and 2, that's too expensive for anybody to come poach them.
Yeah, make sure, because these people know story and they know the X-Men. Put this
team on the live action. Yes. Put this team on the live action, because they get it.
Yeah, they know what they're doing.
They get it. But or if you don't put them on the live action because they might not have live action experience, let them pick the live action team.
Yeah, because technically they're just doing the story. The live action team, as far as the filming, could be different, but these people, they know stories. They know what situations to put our characters in and how our characters react. They know.
Yeah, so
y'all hit the jackpot.
Get these writers in on the live action, because if these guys are the ones that are on the charts for Phase 6, then Marvel's gonna, the MCU is gonna get their audience back hard.
Yeah, y'all have been. It's been rocky. I will admit that I believe, as of late, there's been more good than bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I also know that there's middling reasons of the hate as well. But Marvel, y'all got it right here. Don't lose it.
Yeah.
All right. Do not lose it. But NERDSoul, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, podcast, all that jazz. And until the next time that you have to go on a rampage to find the person that took down Genosha, this is just from us to you saying, peace.
Never again.